When you feel like life has dealt you a hand of unfair cards, instead of folding, you double down and you stuck in the game. You faced battles, you felt broken, but hey, do us a favor, put your hand on your heart. You feel that? You're still here. Welcome to the Resilience Files Unlocked, where survival meets transformation.
Hey, I'm Angelica Washington.
I'm Carrie Bernunz.
And I'm Jesse B. Evans, and you're listening to
The Resilience Files
Unlocked. Just a trigger warning, today's episode we will be discussing cancer, so feel free to take care of yourself as you need to while listening.
And we're not therapists, we are advocates. We have been through our own set of tragedies, and we are here to inspire people, but this is not to diagnose whatsoever, so get your help wherever you need it. We're here with you.
And today, I am so excited. For the first time on the Resilience Files, we have our celebrity guest reader also being our celebrity guest that we get to interview today along her amazing resilience story. And I know you probably already heard that other episode, so you heard of Janora McDuffie. You may have seen her on Grey's Anatomy. You may have seen her on NCIS. You may have heard her as the voice of the 2022 Oscars or seen her playing my mom in the Peacock film Praise This. Janora McDuffie's story is one of triumph, faith, and transformation. After celebrating the best year of her life, she was unexpectedly diagnosed with colon cancer, forcing her to confront fear, uncertainty, and the power of resilience. Through faith, community, and support, and a newfound purpose, she emerged cancer-free, now dedicated to raising awareness and inspiring others to prioritize their health and embrace life with intention. Thank you so much, Janora, for being here with us today. I am so grateful to have you. We are so excited to dive into your story. In January of 2023, I gave my very first TED Talk. The title was The Secret Behind the Best Year of My Life. I owned that stage, describing how in just the past year alone, I was the voice of the Oscars, shot 2 studio films, and was a 2-time invited guest to the White House, and even a VIP guest on the epic NCAA Final Tour in New Orleans, where Carolina beat Duke in Coach K's last game. I mean, you couldn't tell me nothing. 9 months after I proudly gave that talk, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. What kind of ironic shit was that? I had no symptoms whatsoever. I just happened to get the memo that the recommended age to get a colonoscopy dropped to 45, and because my wife had the good government insurance, why not be a good steward of my health and get it done? My colonoscopy was October 25th, and on October 27th, 2023, I got the call that one of the polyps removed during the procedure was cancer. I tell you what the toughest thing about getting that kind of news is. It's not the diagnosis. It's the waiting. The damn time between where your mind starts playing tricks on you, where your imagination is not a leash, can break, where your imagination, if not on a leash, can break free and go wild, terrorizing the mostly peaceful neighborhood of your mind, waking up doubt, fear, worry, and despair. And then, while trying to battle those demons, another toxic thought army starts gearing up because now you're wondering how much the cancer inside you is growing every day that you have to wait. You start thinking of all the people you know who have died of cancer. Every Instagram post that used to be filled with puppies are now all of a sudden news of people who didn't beat it. And the what if are rising up strong as fuck and are ready to take you out. So, as I'm steadily circling the drain, enter the grace of God. So many signs that said, hang in there, I got you. So much support to hold me up. Friends who came up with Go Janora t-shirts. Those who organized prayer walls and food trains on my behalf. Folks offering meditation sessions or Bible verses or advice to create my own mantra or even my own soundtrack and playlist to get me through. My wife was able to arrange top care in this field for me, and the surgeon in charge, who was woman, by the way, another good sign, was able to fit me in for surgery 2 months later on December 29th. The most direct sign from God and reassurance, without a shadow of a doubt, came the day before my surgery. I live by the beach, and times where I need to pray. I mean, it's just me and you, God, I really need you to got me right now. I really need to know you got me kind of prayer. I go to the water. So of course, I was out there laying my case out to the Lord from the bottom of my heart. On the walk back to my place, I found a fully intact sand dollar. Now this is strange. I live in Long Beach, and never have I ever seen a sand dollar out there. So of course, I had to pick it up, carry it back, and look it up when I got home. You wouldn't believe what dear Google had to say about this. Sand dollars carry rich symbolism. They're often associated with peace, strength, and transformation. These were the exact things I had been praying for. Peace going into my surgery, strength to recover, and after all is said and done, transformation to be someone new on the other side. Instant tears. God was showing out indeed. The next day, they cut about a foot from my intestinal tract. The doctor felt like she got clear margins. She said the cancer was just 1 millimeter away from the edge of my colon wall. The next most important step was taking a sample of lymph nodes around the area to see if the cancer spread. It was another week of waiting. But by the grace of God, on January 4th, 2024, I got the call that there was no evidence of disease, aka I was cancer-free.
Yes.
It took 3 months before I was able to be fully back up, and Adam, now when you look at me, you would never know about this past year of my life. But because catching it early literally saved my life, I am committed to being as open and visible, as vocal as I can, especially since more younger folks are being diagnosed, and especially since Black folks have the highest rate of colon cancer incidence and mortality. I definitely now have a new sense of what's important. I am more intentional with my time, mindful with my thoughts, loving with my actions, conscious with my words, and appreciative of my body. I also believe that disease is part semi-self-created, as in when you hold in your feelings, they have to go somewhere and often end up manifesting in the body. So now I've been making an effort to dump these sweet Southern ways and give myself permission to express anger, frustration, disappointment, and sadness. Not to say that I didn't slip back into old patterns of being on some bullshit or even experience a bit of survivor's remorse, where I start wondering why I survived and was even spared chemotherapy and radiation while others did not. But overall, I am refreshed, renewed, transformed, and on a mission. Sounds like it's a time for a new TED Talk, right? But instead, this best year of my life isn't the context of glitz and glamour, but instead defined as overcoming obstacles, finding purpose, and truly seeing God's hand on my life.
Wow.
Yay.
Really inspiring.
It is. Thank you so much, Janora.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, Angelica.
I'm sorry. I'm emotional because I didn't fully know what you were going through. And reading that and listening to that, it just reminds me, like, there's so many people in my life. You have such a big impact on me. And working with you was such a blessing. And I just didn't know that. I didn't understand, how deep it was and like what you were really going through. I didn't understand the context when I saw your post on Instagram, and I text you and we talked over Instagram, things like that. But sometimes those are just, social media can make things kind of seem like a glare. You can't really see fully inside of what people are really experiencing. And so I'm sorry, I'm being so emotional, but my heart is just because it's so personal to me, because I love you so much and I'm so grateful that I know you. And so I'm just a little overwhelmed.
And I was going to say, I think a lot of people would be. The National Institute of Cancer came out with a study in 2024 that said 40.5% of people will experience cancer in their lifetime. And this is across men and women. So whether we experience it personally or know someone that has been through it, I think this story is going to inspire everyone. So we appreciate you for being here. We appreciate you, Angelica, for saying that. And
We always like to start out with asking our guests, how are you today? How are you feeling today, right now, especially after hearing your story read out loud?
I'm feeling so grateful on so many levels. So preparing for being with you all today, I just read through some of my notes. I kept a journal during my year cancer, and just reading back on just seeing God within it all, or reading, grabbing my sand dollar that I still keep to bring to be beside me here. Like, it all just brought back so fresh, all the things. And it is a different experience when you hear your words back. And so just just grateful to be here to share for the person listening, the people listening, something positive, and something positive to come from this conversation today.
we love that. Thank you so much. I would tell you I'd never seen a sand dollar before, so I'm really interested.
So that's the thing. The only thing on Long Beach beaches are trash. So, this
Well,
$4, I'll show it.
oh,
This
wow.
Oh my gosh, it's so
$sand
pretty.
So beautiful.
was fully intact, and I just don't know what to do with it to keep it besides just put it on my nightstand. So it's in a special place, but I don't know whether to, hang it, put it in the shadow box. A lot of the times we see them and they're white, but I think that's what they do. Like, they bleach them, clean them for, I don't know, those
Oh,
purposes. But this is what I picked up that day. And I also vlogged during this time. Like, if something really hit me, I got on camera. And so
yeah.
I even have the moment the day before my surgery, after I had read what it all meant. And what's really interesting is, so my parents, God bless them, they came for 3 weeks to take care of me, and my parents are 80. So
Wow.
again, another blessing to still have them, for them to be in good health, to come
Yeah.
take care of me. But we have a very, again, Southern relationship, as in we love each other very, very much so, but we don't express that very much. So I just didn't want to cry around my parents. So I distinctly remember going out on the patio and having that moment. And this is after. So going into surgery, I had long hair. My wife had found an old friend who came by and did a house call to braid my hair. So I had fresh braids.
Amen.
Yes.
Out there talking to myself, because I just didn't want to be that vulnerable
Sure.
around my parents. But it was, yeah.
That's super relatable. I had a similar experience when I was in the hospital. I didn't want to be vulnerable around my mom. It actually made her super emotional. But for me, I was kind of like ashamed in some ways for my mom to see me in that state. Were there any feelings behind you not wanting your parents to see you be vulnerable? Do you know the reason for that?
That's a good question. I really think it's this whole rooted in the South, at least with my family. We just don't talk about things that really matter. And in a very open, candid, vulnerable way. And so I feel like my parents see me as this strong, woman they raised me to be. And so maybe it's hurting, not wanting to hurt them, not wanting to show that side, even though who other than your mom and your daddy can you be that vulnerable to? And
Yeah.
I remember distinctly that night, again, going back to the night before, my line sisters did a Zoom call. And one of my line sisters prayed for me. Ooh, she prayed a prayer for me. And then we have the song that we sing. And one of the lines, the singing line sisters sang it. And then I just broke down. And so my parents came to me. And that is the first time I can remember since being a little girl that both my parents embraced me, and I was crying. And I even cut it off before I finished my breakdown.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm okay. But I even wonder why I did that, because that has never happened before. And it was a beautiful moment that I will always remember, because I can't really count how many times my parents have held me when I'm breaking down.
Yeah. Wow.
That's so real.
It is.
Especially, I think that is very relatable to discuss just for a moment, because sometimes, especially when you become an adult, you start to prove your independence, and like prove that, you're this like tough adult and you don't really need your parents anymore and you don't want their help. And if anything, you want to take care of them. It's like we have this dream of like, I want to buy my mom a home. I want to, buy my mom a car, buy her a house, buy her whatever, And so I can only imagine, that moment where I had a moment similarly when I was in the hospital. And I remember even way before that specifically, I remember after the school shooting, when I had learned that one of my childhood best friends was killed in that. And I remember going home to my mom, and I was living in the dorms, and I was like feeling so adult. I'm 18. I'm like, I'm on my own. And then like the moment my parents showed up to the school, I just lost it, and I was like trying to be so strong. And like, I think about it now and I'm like, I remember even in crying, I was trying to like still be strong in the crying, like still trying to like almost hold the tears back. And it's like, sometimes I look back, I'm like, why didn't I just let myself, go? But then eventually you do, it's like you get tired of that trying to pent up feeling and you just let it go. And so parents have that way to bring it out of us. And like you said, if not your parents, then who? They've literally been in every chapter of your life since like day one. If there's anyone that we can be our full true selves with, I hope it can be them. So I'm really also so grateful that your parents are here, and like what a blessing. And before we started rolling, I was like, my mom's here. Say hi to my mom. And Janora was like, say hi to your mom. And we were like, no, she's talking about you. Like, she's my mom to me as well. So I'm like, oh my God, there's my mom. So anyway, I feel like I have a soft spot for people who play my parents. I like connect with them so much, and you're like such a mother figure to me. So anyway.
I love that. Talking about amazing times in 2023, you were living your best life, TEDx speech, and you were talking about the best year of your life and all the amazing things that happened. Take us back there. How were you feeling at that moment before you found out about your diagnosis?
Man. So we all know that this route, this Hollywood dream, is not a straight line. There are ups and downs and twists and turns and detours. And I had finally felt some re-momentum in my life. So in fact, my TED Talk began talking about my role on Grey's Anatomy. But my stint on Grey's Anatomy was 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, you couldn't tell me that wasn't my big break. I mean, I'm on multiple episodes. My scenes are with the 1 and 2 on the call sheet. I got a name. I come back in the storyline. And so when whatever it is, didn't happen, just really sent me to a very sad and dark place. So the TED Talk was about how in this new year, I felt like I was on fire. And it was because I had detached what success meant to have these roles, but success is the consistency of these positive things that we can have in our control, like enjoying the day, finding a way just to be present. So I talked about things like dancing or taking pictures, and how when I started focusing my time on those things, that's when my phone rang for the Oscars, or that's when the phone rang for me to be Angelica's mama, or amazing things back to back to back. And it wasn't just Hollywood roles. Like I said, I went to the White House. In fact, we went to the White House 2 times, but really we went to DC 3 times. And that third time was Vice President Kamala Harris. She had a pride celebration at her house. You know what I'm talking about? Like, and so I'm not to what's going on now, but that was some big shit. That was like, I really was living my best life. And so I felt like, because I had discovered this new secret, that it wasn't about trying to will Hollywood to call me, but just to honor the things I have control over, which is, this space. Like, I got the secret, let's go, life. And then I get cancer. And so, I just didn't know how to process that. I didn't want to. I have a very interesting, I don't want to say interesting, but I talk to God all the time. But my definition of God might be different from most people's definition of God. Because my definition of God, I mean, God is all the things. If you want to talk about God as universe, we can talk about God as universe. You want to talk about God as Jesus, we can talk about God as Jesus. Mm-hmm. God is too big to put in a box.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But that does not negate the existence and the presence and the purpose of my life. And so, because I know, one of my favorite books is The Alchemist.
Oh, yeah. I love The Alchemist.
What I remember is that it's all written by one hand. Mm-hmm. As in just the full story of life. Mm-hmm. So because I trust that one hand, I wasn't mad at God, but I just was like, damn, this is the plot twist we taking. But then what starts to happen, like, fine, all right, this is what I'm dealing with. But then it becomes like, is this the cancer where I'm going to be on your show in a year, looking cute in my new kitchen? Mm-hmm. Or is this the cancer where y'all, your tears, Angelica, for my funeral? Wow. And that's real talk, because we don't know, when you get that news, you don't know how the disease is going to manifest or be part of your story. So that was tough. That was really, really tough. I found out on Friday, and that Monday I had a flight to Phoenix for 2 weeks to be a live on-camera host for a show. So here I am. I got to be live and happy and, hey, everybody, when I know that, I just got this news that literally will change my life forever in an unforeseen direction. And I remember not wanting to talk to the doctor during that time, because I knew that if it was bad news, I don't know if I could go on camera live. And, as an actor, that's not a role I want to play.
Yeah. Absolutely. You were living your best life. You were doing it all. And what's so interesting is I love the fact that, like you said, 10 years ago, it was like you felt like you hit the jackpot, like the actor's dream. And then you went through this stint of like, what the heck is going on? To then let me rechannel of how I find my happiness. And it's so interesting that it happened right prior to you receiving this unannounced, uninformed, I didn't get no symptoms diagnosis. Take us to that moment. I think a lot of people want to hear is like, well, usually I get a little sick, or people may feel something prior to them having cancer. Is this anything that, I think somebody might wonder, does it run in your family at all? Or is there anything that you could have like known beforehand with no symptoms whatsoever?
So I was definitely aware that colon cancer existed. I I had an aunt and uncle with colon cancer. But when it comes to family history, they only count your parents or your siblings as having it in your family. They don't count grandparents or aunts and uncles.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah. So when I'm sharing this with the doctor, he was just like, yeah, well, it technically doesn't run in your family. But either way, my mama would still say, go on and get that done. Your brother got it done. He had some polyps, but he's all right. So I knew it was something, but it was something I was not scared of. I just knew that I just had to do it, just like you get a mammogram or a pap smear, something like that, like a regular routine for your health. And in fact, the worst part about a colonoscopy isn't the colonoscopy procedure, it's the prep. Oh, it's horrible because you have to drink the night before to clean you out.
Right.
Yeah, and you have to.
Right.
What do you call it? Don't
Yeah.
you go on a fast?
You have to fast?
Yeah. So the day before, you don't eat anything, but they give you this solution to eat, to drink.
Oh.
It's about a gallon. And there are different types of prep, but the prep that I've gotten has been in this gallon jug, and you just drink 3/4 of that gallon the day before, and then that last quarter the morning of. They will let you, for those who cannot go without eating, you can have like some clear, maybe soup or something like that, broth type something if you need. But I've done the master cleanse enough that I'm okay. But I had pushed it back a couple times because I just didn't want to prep that day. Like I remember specifically I'm really into women's soccer, and it was USA playing the Netherlands, and I'd rather watch that with a beer and my buddy than do the prep. Because, of course, I don't have any symptoms. I'm just doing it because I'm supposed to do it.
Right.
So finally, when I got my act together and did it, the doctor technically is supposed to be there in the room when you wake up, but he had to be called away for an emergency. So when I woke up, the nurse was like, the doctor will give you a call. So he called me and he said, we do see something. We'll have to send it to the lab. And then when he called me back, he was just like, it's cancer. And so in my mind, again, I didn't know what it meant. Getting that news on the phone, my wife was there with me, but I just didn't know what it meant. I just didn't know what it meant.
And you talked about in your essay, like the mental toll of waiting for those results. How did you manage to keep yourself grounded in that time? Was there anything you did specifically in that time? I know you talked about like meditation and prayer, but did all that come after your diagnosis, or what did you do in the waiting?
I had some tools in my tool bag. Like, I knew how to meditate before I got my diagnosis. But I tell you, I feel like God uses all of us as angels for each other. And I feel like I didn't reach for, let me meditate now. It was somebody interceding that picked me up. Or I'll give you an example. I talked about being in Phoenix for the next 2 weeks. And this is when it just happened, and I'm now away from home. Now I got to be around these strangers and pretend to be happy. Started circling the drain, and the good Lord sent this woman named Jessica my way. No, sorry, Jasmine. Jasmine is her name. Jasmine, when you go out of town and your friends are like, look up so-and-so, they're there.
Right.
Jasmine was a friend of a friend in LA. Text Jasmine, hey girl, I'm Sabrina's friend. What should I do while I'm in town? She gives me, if you want to go to a good restaurant, go here. If you want to go hiking, go here. And by the way, there's a colon cancer walk on Saturday.
Wow.
You're more than welcome to come with me if you want.
What?
Whoa.
Girl, look at the timing. Look at God. Okay.
Wow.
So I had to pause because I did share with Sabrina. Sabrina and Lisa, they're another couple here in Long Beach with us. They're dear friends. And before I left town, we shared with them, but she said she had not told her anything. So when I text back, I was like, tell me more about this colon cancer thing. Is there a reason that you mentioned this? She said, I lost my mom 9 years ago to colon cancer. And every year since then, I volunteer.
Wow.
Oh,
She had
chills.
no idea that I had just been diagnosed. So I shared with her, and she said, definitely come. You'll see the community. You'll see all these resources available to you. So, again, like in this lost space of, Lord, what's going on? There was always someone or something sent my way by him or her, or however you define God to be, to encourage me to hang in there. And that is, again, one of many instances.
That's a God moment for sure.
It is.
That was a God moment.
So beautiful, giving me so many chills. There was something that you did say early on. I think somebody's listening today and they're like, hey, I don't like the doctor like that. I want to go get this checkup. I want to get this and that. And what was interesting is that the colon cancer screening, used to be in your 50s and they moved it to 45. And I know you said you kind of rescheduled it a couple times. How are you with the doctor for anybody that's maybe listening today and saying like, I don't need this screening. I don't need to go get this checked.
I feel fine.
Yeah, I feel fine. What would you say to them, or what made you be like, okay, I'm going to do it at 45. I'm not going to wait to 48.
I recognize the blessed situation I am in because I had good insurance. Because even I have friends, even though they've dropped the age to 45, I still have friends whose doctors won't give it to them and cover it because they're not 50.
Wow.
And don't have symptoms. They just are in a different insurance company and they just won't cover it. I think all the time, what if I would have waited till 50, or what if I didn't get that? It definitely would have been a different story, because that would have been a few more years in my body.
Yeah.
And so the people ask often as well, well, I did that Cologuard or the FIT test. That's where you shit in a bucket and be tested. But it's non-invasive. Some people do get afraid of the procedure. But what I will say, so I had a physical and they gave me one of those tests. They say, I see you have a colonoscopy coming up, but I'll still give you a test. My test did come back positive. The test will show if it's cancer, but the test will not do anything about your polyps. Polyps are what grows before it turns into cancer. So this is why colon cancer is the most preventable cancer, because all they got to do is remove it. And it's such a slow growing cancer. That's why if you go and your pipes are clean, you don't have to go for another 10 years. Or if you go and you have a couple polyps, but they pull them out and they're, hadn't grown into cancer, then you go every 5 years. But a Cologuard type test is not going to take that out. So let's just say you get the test and it's negative, but then in a couple months, those polyps turn into something else and you think you're fine. So that's why I encourage everyone to actually go get a colonoscopy.
Yeah.
And then if you can't afford it, or if you're not insured, there are institutions out there that specifically help underinsured folks get one, especially those that look like us, because our numbers, again, are disproportionately affected by stuff like colon cancer. And people get cancer for all different kind of reasons. And I know Black folks, we have been fed all kind of things.
Chitlins, pork rinds.
Yes. But, we also know people who are super healthy, but
Very
still
true.
get cancer. So we don't know. I did talk about earlier how in my essay, I talked about self-inflicted type disease that we have.
Right.
There's this woman named Louise Hay. I'm not sure if you all are familiar with her at all, but she has this book called Heal Your Life. And it talks about how she healed herself from ovarian cancer, I believe. But either way, every ailment she has a whole glossary in her book, what she attributes to something emotional on our end. And so cancer, she talked about it being related to resentment, and colon issues, holding on to shit. And I thought for myself, I talked earlier about really not being good at expressing myself, expressing anything other than happiness or joy. Everything else I hold in. And so now it's a matter of life and death that I release those things as well.
Ooh, you actually talking to me right now. Oh my God. I really be holding it in. You make me want to cry, man, hearing this. Cause I'm like, I was just talking to somebody a couple of days ago and they were like, so much of, our sickness or illness or things we go through is because of like mentally as well, like the stuff we put on ourselves and just like having that moment to release and to let go. And when you said colon cancer is like holding on to shit, I'm like, oh, hell no, I ain't holding on to no more shit. Yeah. Thank you.
I love the sentiment.
Let it go, girl. Let it go.
Yes.
I love the sentiment that disease is literally like your body being at dis-ease.
Right.
Your body not being at ease. But I have a question for you, Janora. Earlier you said that you didn't really know how to process it, and I know for me, and probably a lot of other people, you can be having the best year of your life like you were having, and I know for me, when my incident happened, I was having the best year of my life. I was making the most money that I've ever made. Google, Microsoft were my clients. I had big clients. Everything was just amazing, and then all of a sudden, bam, I'm in the hospital for a month, and I've lost everything. My initial reaction was anger at God, and for other people, it may be whoever you serve or what have you. But my initial reaction was anger, like why? Why is this happening to me? Why would you do this now? Why is this happening? And the way that you expressed it, it sounded like you were like, oh, this is the curveball that you're going to throw at me? Okay. And you went along with it. So it sounded like you handled it well. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you did or did not. And if you did handle it that way, how? I need to know, because even now I still have some anger in me. Like, why did it have to happen then? Why now? What? So yeah, how did you do that?
I go back to my faith that it's a greater story. Again, it's all written by one hand. There had to have been a reason. And that the God that I serve just would not do me dirty like that. Like, I also believe that what happens to us in life, in some sort of way, we call about to learn whatever it is we're supposed to learn to grow in this iteration of Earth School that we're in. So, I talk all the talk, you know what I mean? And I think that it doesn't have to be one singular way that we interpret the universe and God. I combine them all. So it's kind of like God's got it. I've always known God's got it. Not to, and in saying that God's got it doesn't mean that we don't go through trials and tribulations. I just think it's the things that we are there to learn and how to grow. And again, I might have had that initial reaction and not gone straight to anger, but that also doesn't mean that I did not find tons of holes to crawl in, to cry, tons of dark spaces and confusion. And I don't ever think I got mad, but I just got sad. I got sad, and I keep coming up with confused, because I just didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what my life would turn into. But every time that it was just like, woe is me, what's going on? I'm incredibly on the edge of this ledge, ready to fall. God would send something, send someone, send a sign. And that's what kept me up. It was, again, I have I love my perspective on life and God and the universe and me in it. But I'm not perfect at it. Like, I stand on it, but then life comes and I'm human too, and I feel all the things. I have just been lucky enough to be reminded often enough that I don't fall completely off the ledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thank you for that. That was an incredible answer. And I think like having a strong hold on your faith,
Yes.
and knowing that there's something bigger at play here. And I like that you're so emotionally intelligent. I feel like anyone like listening can easily tell that. Something that I've recently learned in therapy. I've kind of always known it because I'm an actor, that it's never just anger. Like, anger is it doesn't really quote unquote exist. There's rage. But anger is usually like something else, like disappointment, or for some people it's confusion, but oftentimes it can show up as anger. So I love that you were like, I was really confused on this, like on why this is happening. And I think for me, I was disappointed. And I didn't know who to be disappointed in. So I think for a lot of people that may have gone through something and you're feeling anger, it may not be anger. It might be something else that you need to ask yourself. So thank you. Thank you for that answer.
Yeah.
Janora, you had said in your essay that you had felt survivor's guilt. And I won't even get into it because I clearly have a lot of that I've been working through for years. But I'm interested, how did you process, or are you still processing that survivor's guilt, you know, when you're now cancer free, but you know other people are still battling?
It is an ongoing process. Again, just kind of like, oh, God must be trying to teach me something to grow. I'm human. Sure, that's what happened. But it was a work in progress, similar to survivor's remorse. It's not powerful to ask why I'm here, but just, it's more powerful to just continue to live my life and accept the grace. Yeah, that's what you get to, but it's a work in progress. And writing that last paragraph was really challenging because I still am challenged with saying, ooh, the best year of my life is now, whatever, having cancer. Because how dare I say that's the best year of my life when people die from this, where none of us have the choice. Like, sure, I got screened, but there are other people who got screened, but still ended up either in chemotherapy or six feet underground. So I still am very cautious about, I don't want to say bragging about my good fortune. But
well, Janora, I think one of the things Angelica said the other day on another podcast was two things can coexist at the same time. And they don't have to replicate, duplicate, or mimic one another. You can have went through the most challenging part of your life and also had the best challenging part of your year and also had the best year ever. You survived and beat cancer. And I understand that it is unfortunate and it is sad that people have died from it. But it's also amazing to survive and thrive through it. And for people to see the other side of that.
Yeah.
So they can be inspired to push on.
Stay hopeful.
So exactly, to stay hopeful. So I am no God. I love God. And I don't know if my words mean anything to you, but I really hope that you take some room for yourself to also be proud, and you can say that without any guilt and feeling any remorse, because you deserve that. It can be your best year of your life and the most challenging year of your life. Whatever. It's your story. I love your story.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't know if it means anything.
Yeah.
She said, yeah.
Because I, in terms of, I guess, bringing it back to the beginning, Jesse, when you asked me how I was doing, I realized that I have not talked in a public platform about my journey. And, I've got this whole realm of the struggle was real. I got through it. But this other layer of, Lord, why me? But not why me, why I got it, but why did you spare me? Or Lord, I want to make sure I still or I'm fulfilling what you put me on this earth to do now that I've got a second chance. I also, got the layer of being sensitive to others, maybe going through it. And
Well,
so
I'm going to just throw in another thing right here right quick and just say, you know what? Because I'm going to be honest. I think you're the shit. And I think that, God said, I ain't going to say just God gave it to you for no reason, but he gave it to you and you survived it, maybe to bring more voice to it, maybe to bring more presence to it. And he knew that, if he gave you this story, you're going to amplify it so then they can find more cures for it. They're going to, have more resources available because of your face and your presence. And then somebody's going to say, wait, that actress had colon cancer? No way. If she had it and she can survive it, I can too. Or if she had it and she can still keep living life, then I can too. Or whatever that looks like. So I'm just throwing my 2 cents out there, and maybe nothing, but just
I had a
that 2 cents was worth a whole lot. I'll take it all to the bank.
I once had my therapist tell me, sometimes God doesn't even give you your struggles for you. Sometimes God gives you those struggles because he trusts that you are going to amplify and share and help others who might be in need with those struggles. Because a lot of times people go through things, they don't tell anybody. They might have cancer, they don't tell anybody. They don't tell people what's going on. They don't share with anyone. They don't whatever. And so sometimes God has to give it to the right child, shall I say, right? Because, when I'm not a parent yet, but I know I have siblings. My parents tell certain siblings certain things because we will do certain things with that information, right? And so sometimes God has to give certain children certain tasks because it's what he knows that we will do with those tasks, right? And so sometimes in our journey, it's not even always about us. Just like sometimes, I guess that's the flip side. I was going to say in forgiveness, it's not about the other person, it's about you. But sometimes with certain things that we go through, it's not about us. It's about other people and what we do with them. And I'm so grateful that you're here on this podcast today with us because, that people say if you help one person, that's enough. But you're already helping us. You've already helped me. And so I know that there's people that are listening that you are absolutely helping, even just your mindset and your emotional intelligence alone. So I'm really excited. We have to get forward to wrapping up, which I'm really sad about, but I have a couple more questions before we go. And one of them is, you said that you're now committed to raising awareness, especially for younger people, for Black people. What do you feel are the biggest misconceptions about colon cancer that you want to break out of, that you want people to know about?
Definitely that it affects people that aren't your grandma or your auntie. If you are under the age of 50, you are just as open to getting colon cancer or any kind of cancer. So if there's screening available, please, I can't implore you enough to get your colonoscopy. Ask your doctor, your healthcare provider, or I also have to recognize that everybody doesn't have a doctor or a healthcare provider.
Sure.
But there's a colorectal cancer alliance. They have a website. Check it out. They have resources of how to get a colonoscopy, even if you don't have insurance or a healthcare provider. So that's important. So get yourself checked. An ounce of prevention is definitely, in this case, way more than worth a pound of cure. It is known as the silent. Was that
That was from a book I read.
Oh, okay. My daddy says it all the time.
Love it.
colon cancer is known as the silent cancer because you're right. People don't talk about it. There's nothing sexy about cancer in the ass, right? And then people are also like, they don't want you to know what they're going through. I have, because of the grace I have been given, I definitely don't take it lightly and have been using my platform that I have to spread the word. And the biggest compliments that I have gotten out of doing that, or the biggest compliment I take is, you know what? I saw your post, and because of that, I finally went through and got that colonoscopy. So that makes me feel like I'm on the right track in terms of just one person at a time going and get that colonoscopy done.
Absolutely.
But and then one last thing, and this is repeating again, it's known as the silent killer, because a lot of times when you do finally get any kind of symptoms, a lot of times it has progressed, but it is also, again, the most preventable cancer. So nip it in the bud.
When we're going to have the information that Janora is talking about. I'm going to get it from her, and we're going to put it in the description of this episode. So if you need a resource, or you need help, or you need to get a colonoscopy and you maybe are uninsured and you need guidance, you need help, we will have that information for you. Just want to get that.
Why not ask you one more quick question? Well, you hinted at a TEDx talk. We would love to know what messaging around that you want to tell, but also, since the last time you did your TEDx talk and you were redefining what success looks like to you, has that been redefined again?
Yes, it has been absolutely redefined, because before it was, let me find the ways that I can be happy in a day or present in a day and grateful in a day. It was those things, and do it consistently. This time, trying to work to find, all right, let me find something that makes me happy. I'm alive. So the whole bar of what it means to be happy and present has definitely lowered, in that just waking up is a blessing. Having my parents is a blessing. Understanding how loved I am. People came out the woodworks. That is a blessing. So it allowed me to simply open my eyes and look around to just know and feel how blessed I am. So that would definitely be incorporated the next time.
Oh.
Janora, I really hope, I feel like I haven't talked this much because I've just been kind of mesmerized by you. I really hope that one day I'm able to handle adversity with the same grace that you do, the same intelligence, the same wisdom that you do. It's so admirable. You are true inspiration. I think you're going to inspire. I mean, you've definitely inspired me today. I think you're going to inspire a lot of people with your story. And also, I'm going to say it again, with the way that you handle adversity, it's really admirable. So thank you so much for coming on to the show today and sharing your story. It means a lot.
Well, I truly appreciate that. But one last thing is, it's not me. It truly is the grace of God, because I was going in all kind of different directions, up and down and everywhere. It was only God sending me, again, people or these experiences that just let me be reminded that I am not alone, and that this was for something greater.
Amen.
And that is the definition of resilience.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Amen to that.
Well, thank you so much, Janora, for sharing your powerful story. Just as Jesse and Angelica, we all have mentioned, we hope that this story resonates with someone that's listening today. Know that you're not alone. Wherever your foundation is, if it's God, faith, lean into that. Trust that. Know that you can push past anything, any adversity that is in front of you. If you or someone are having feelings of hopelessness or a difficult situation that you're going in with the medical system, just know that there are resources available to you. Reach out, get help.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Resilience Files Unlocked. If you have a story of resilience that you want to share, email us at resifiles@gmail.com, or you can visit our website at www.theresiliencefiles.com. Make sure to follow us on all social media platforms at The Resilience Files, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Until next time, as always, stay resilient.
When you feel like life has dealt you a hand of unfair cards, instead of folding, you double down and you stuck in the game. You faced battles, you felt broken, but hey, do us a favor, put your hand on your heart. You feel that? You're still here. Welcome to the Resilience Files Unlocked, where survival meets transformation.